Hey, and we are live. We are live for the Green Umbrella Live Lunch. How many times can I say live in one sentence? Like, that's crazy, isn't it? But here we are. So we are live on YouTube. We're live on the Green Umbrella Facebook page. And we are also live under my profile over on LinkedIn as well. So hopefully we'll get a few people pop in and join us, which will be fantastic. But yeah, it's another week past Thursday, 12 noon. This is what we do. We just jump into here and talk about what's going on Green Umbrella wise, what's happening in our world, and like what's happening in the social media, the digital marketing world as a whole. Obviously, so Kim's put in the comments on Facebook already, loose ladies. I don't know who she's referring to, but Mark is not joining us today. I can make all sorts of excuses for him, but essentially what's happened is I made him leave the office on Tuesday. And so now he's grumbling. He's got so much work to do to catch up on. So, you know, poor Mark. But Jane, you're not very happy that he's managed to get out of it, are you?
No, I think that's unfair. I've got plenty to do as well.
So yeah, I think it's like Nicole did so well last time on Live Lunch, even though we had all those technical issues, that he sort of delegated his place to her today. So yeah, we'll have to think of some cruel and unusual punishment for him. But yeah, and it was really funny. Just before we hit the live button, Nicole said, and Nicole, I'm going to drop you in it now. Nicole literally went, "Oh, I hope it's going to be better day because, you know, Mark's not here." What she meant was because we were all in the office together, and we think that might have been part of the reason for the technical difficulties. At least that's what I'm telling you she meant.
It is.
So yeah. So what's been happening this week, like work-wise, Jane? Anything? Oh, now the dog's going to start barking.
Sorry,
Jane.
the door's shut, but yeah.
Sadie the dog's very loud and very lovely. Yeah. So what, like work-wise, news-wise, like what's happening with you this week, Jane?
Well, work-wise, as I said, we're very busy. We've got lots of new clients coming on board. So yeah, there's a lot of processes to go through and things like that to get everybody onboarded. So yeah, but it's fun. But yeah, when you've got a few to do, it's a bit like, oh my goodness, who's who and what have I got from them and what have I got from the others? So yeah, but it's good, like I said. News-wise though, so this week I have been looking at Instagram. So there's an update to their automated captions. Before you could put automated captions on Reels and other videos, but you couldn't put them on in-stream videos. Apparently now you can. Not sure if that's available for everybody yet or if it's just rolling out, but that's a new one. And they also announced they're closing the IGTV app completely. I'm not sure anybody actually goes to the separate app anymore. I'd even forgotten there was a separate app, if I'm honest. So, you know, I don't think anyone already missed that. And the other thing is they were removing in-stream ads, which I thought was quite an interesting one. And apparently replacing them with stickers for ads. So I'm kind of a bit like, is anyone going to click on a sticker to see an ad? Not convinced, but anyway, who knows?
It's weird, this whole kind of thing with video, and it's like everyone's chasing everyone else video-wise. And it's actually driving me mad. I'm not going to lie, because it's like, should we be doing long form video? Should we do short form video? Like, what's the answers now? And if you think about it, it's like, you know, Facebook always chased YouTube to try and compete there, and then obviously stories came along with the video content there. Then TikTok appears. So now all of a sudden, this short form content, TikTok's really taken off. So TikTok and Instagram have kind of been trying to compete with each other on the short form video stuff. And now we've seen that in like Reels are being pushed into Facebook, so Facebook can compete with TikTok. And now these changes, well, IGTV pulling that content back into the Instagram app rather than it being a separate experience, because forget fighting YouTube, we want to fight TikTok. And so it's this constant thing. And whilst this is all going along, TikTok it's just introduced up to 10 minutes in video now, because TikTok wants to go up against YouTube. So it's like everyone's chasing everyone else. And it's like, as a creator, And do you know what? I want to stop using those words, content creators, because it's like, everyone's a content creator now, right? But as someone that is producing content to market a business and thinking, right, video is where it's at, I need to be doing that. Like, where do you go? What do you do?
It's mad, isn't it?
I just think Instagram introducing IGTV back into their app. They're also trying to compete with TikTok now in terms of them introducing the 10-minute videos. So they've probably thought, no one really watches IGTVs. We're going to put them in a separate app, because it's probably, they've introduced a lot at the moment, so it's looking a bit busy. And now they're thinking, oh, TikTok have got back on it in the 10-minute videos, so we'll bring it back in. So yeah. But to be fair, I just think with IGTVs, I could give or take with them. I feel they were good when they first started, and then they just did disappear. I just didn't. As soon as Reels were introduced, they kind of just, I even forgot about them. And then they obviously with Instagram, you can upload, I swear, more than a minute video now. You know how it was just a minute, you could only do post a, you know what I mean, a minute video, up to a minute. That's what I mean. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Sorry, I really rambled there, but hopefully you get my point.
It's fine. But what you said is interesting about you getting really busy, because Instagram has always been busy. You've got your main feed, you've got your grid content, you've got stories, you've got reels, you've got IGTV. And it's like, where do you go? Where do you start? And I did think they'd started to sort of tidy it up a little bit, but now it just feels like it's unraveling, and we're going back to this. Again, if you want to use Instagram to work for your audience, it's almost like you're managing multiple channels within one channel. You've got to think about, right, how often do I post to my grid? How often do I post to my stories? How often should I be sharing a reel? Should my reel be on my grid? It's become quite complex. In some ways, maybe it is a benefit. If you're launching something, if you've got a campaign you're working on, you want to be able to create lots of different types of content. And I did you can't see it, but I did like a 30-minute session online for a group this morning, and I talked about the 5-star content, and what's a 1-star piece of content, what's a 2-star, 3-star, 4-star. You kind of get all those options in one platform. So maybe you create it there and you can share it elsewhere and that sort of stuff. But it is just within one platform. Normally you're thinking like LinkedIn, I need to create A, B, or C. And, some people will be visual, so I'll do that. Some people want video, some people want written, and we can kind of move between them. But like I say, on Instagram, it's like you've got three ways of sharing video. It's just, it's so easy to get overwhelmed with it. And I don't think necessarily all these changes are really helping. That said, to talk about the thing about the taking out the ads in the videos and using stickers instead, I do think that's a good thing, because how irritating is it when you're watching a video and an ad pops up? Definitely. And you're just like, I don't really care that much about watching the rest of it. I've been disrupted by this ad now. I'm going to carry on and look at something else.
But have you noticed on Facebook, the ads have started appearing at the beginning? So that's even worse for me. You literally get a millisecond of it, and then suddenly an ad pops up, and I'm like, can't be bothered. Just scroll on by now, because I'm not. And some of them are 30 seconds, and you can't skip them.
And that's just like YouTube as well. You go on YouTube and then you have two or three ads to even get to your video. And then you have to get through the first ad to even skip the ads. And then sometimes they even put them on the end, and you think, I thought I've started a new video, and then the video would just end on an ad. And I'm like, yeah. So I agree. Yeah, stickers could be good, because then at least you've got the choice. Yeah, you just watch a video in peace and click on an ad if you want, if you see something you like.
Not great for the advertisers though. Because
I was just thinking that when I'm trying to drive my drive my followers on the YouTube channel so that we can monetize it, get all those views, I'm kind of thinking, yeah. But then I think like YouTube, it's more expected, isn't it? I don't have a problem with the ads at the beginning. I have to say, I don't have a problem with that. It's when you're watching something and all of a sudden it switches to an ad. That's what frustrates me. I don't like them.
It does
Fair
ruin
enough.
your flow, doesn't it? Yeah. And then
And
you
we
forget
all
what you're
know,
watching.
and we all know what my concentration's like. Yeah. Kim's put in the comments, she says her son has YouTube ad rage. I'm like, that is a real thing, I reckon.
100%. I don't know anyone that doesn't get annoyed with it.
Sorry.
Yeah, see? The dogs are even annoyed by it.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, so Nicole, what have you got for us? I know I know you've got something because we started chatting about it earlier. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah, big one for Twitter, actually. So Twitter are going to introduce a podcast tab. So they're testing it at the moment to see if it, works well. But I can actually see this one taken off. Yeah, because podcasts are just so up and coming that having just a quick, easy access on Twitter to go and look at some of your favorite podcasts, I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of content that can be shared around podcasts, and it is something that I struggle to do with mine because it is not part of the business. It's like a passion project. It like there's so much more I could do with it. Like, but all those little snippets and that kind of stuff is it's just really powerful. If you think from a Twitter perspective, just those like little sort of the micro content, it really lends itself. So I think being able to follow the podcasters to find out like what are the bits in between, what are the bits that didn't make the edit, I think Twitter's going to be a really good place to share that type of content. In terms of it having the podcast feature, if you like, that bit I haven't read up on it yet myself because literally I just saw the news at about 11 o'clock. So I have a Facebook page for my podcast, and what happens is the podcast episodes are like pulled in through an RSS feed, so that each time I release a new episode, it's like automatically there on the Facebook page. But the way it's shared, it's like it just has 0 in the algorithm. So it's a weird thing because it feels like it should be a really good thing to have, but performance-wise, I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not getting it at all. It's really bizarre. But obviously, you like Nicole. Your background is, you're very much sort of audio, radio, that sort of stuff. That's where you've come from, that world. When it comes to marketing a podcast, promoting audio things, or radio show style stuff, like what are your sort of go-tos in terms of that kind of thing? Putting you on the spot now.
I would say in terms of my radio background, I've done more live radio. So I've always been that radio and social media need to connect, because unfortunately radio is sort of it's dying out in the fact that we've got loads of other forms of entertainment now, that radio isn't sort of your first go-to thing to listen to. But that's why podcasts are very good in that sense. But in terms of when I used to do sort of more live radio, I'd always have my social medias connected, up and running, and I would just be interacting with people throughout the whole show and doing interactive features like polls, or say we've just had Pancake Day, that's sort of a feature I'd have on the show, and then ask people to sort of post their pictures, and then even just saying your name on the radio, people just go, like, even if it's just student radio, community radio, hospital radio, whatever you're doing, I think people just love just being sort of shared, so it entices people in a bit more. But yeah, in terms of podcasts, I've never really marketed a podcast, but I can see that how Twitter would be great in this sense, because I can just see it, how you've sort of been introducing me to Twitter lists. It's going to be sort of just a tab for podcasts, but the ones that you like, so you can just keep up to date. And that's something that I think, I can't remember what podcast it is that I listen to, but it's like a girly one. I think it's Goes Without Saying, that's what it's called. And I always like following their social media, but it gets lost on my Instagram. So having that on Twitter, I can actually see me using Twitter more in that sense to follow the podcast route now. So I think it will be really good. And people that follow your podcast, Christina, will get regular updates, and it might encourage you to sort of post, do more marketing around it.
Absolutely. Cool. So I've got a question for you both. How do we feel about auto-captions?
Sometimes they're hilarious when it gets it wrong. The problem is I don't think that they're good enough most of the time to actually be worthwhile.
I don't think they're accurate enough. It's quite, there's been several times where people have sent me screenshots because they're maybe watching this on Facebook on a mobile, and they've screenshot something that's come up in the auto captions. They're like, "Oh, I think you need to correct this," and I'm like, "It's an auto caption. Like, do you really think that we're live and someone is and we've got someone typing that in the background?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's not how it works." But yeah, it's like the auto caption thing is. It's helpful. I absolutely get that it's helpful, and from an accessibility perspective, has massive, massive value. But I'm not a fan, if I'm really honest. But then I don't like watching films with subtitles either. I'm like, get all that crap off the screen. So it might just be me. But I think Jane, you mentioned it already. Obviously, Instagram they're going to bring all the auto captions to video there, and I just think, so the video on Instagram is naturally shorter, and so it's almost like, is it worth as creating content for me? Is it worth going in and editing each of those videos to correct those, to basically create captions for them and that sort of thing? It's really tricky, and I think some people are the automatic captions are more accurate for some people than they are for others.
I guess it depends on your accent as well, doesn't it? And how quickly you speak and all sorts of things. I mean, I guess if you speak the Queen's English very slowly, it's probably fine, but anybody else, it possibly isn't.
Yeah. And it's things like, if you've got, there's someone I know with a lisp, and theirs is always incorrect. Always incorrect. So it's tricky. It's really tricky. But like I said, from an accessibility perspective, I really get it. I think there's massive value there. Tell you what I hate about auto captions, like what really, really frustrates me is, and Nicole, you're like, because Nicole's like this, because she's like, hashtag young Nicole. So Instagram, when you do an Instagram story, a video story, okay, and you have you put the captions on there, like trying to edit those frigging captions are like mission impossible. And because I garble, I use a lot of words, so the captions come up and it's like that, like even now I've corrected it, the sentence still doesn't make sense. So I need to like tweak the captions so they're easy to read on screen, because of how fast I'm going and that sort of stuff. They don't literally need every word. But it's like, it's so hard to edit. You kind of edit it and then save it, and it's still not saved all your edits. It just drives me mad.
I've seen, I don't even like bother with it, because I think just the effort of going to edit just a 15-second story, because you can say a lot in 15 seconds. So, but I've seen other people do it, and the amount of sort of typos or repeats of words and stuff, it's just, I respect people that actually go to the effort to do it. But then I think that sort of ties in with the radio thing again, is when someone's done a show, for the social media purposes, I would have to sort of take snippets of the show, and they would go on the social media, and we would have to type out all the captions, like for people who needed subtitles or light subtitles, and having that automated, we had a system that would do that, and it would always be incorrect. So you would always have to go around and just rewatch it and proofread it and almost get someone else to see if they can spot something that you haven't. So I agree with it. I think it's a good idea, but will it be correct? And I don't know.
It's massively impractical, massively. So the only time I use the caption sticker in Instagram is if it's a video that I think on its own will actually be quite boring. Now, I'm not suggesting that any of my videos are anything other than boring, but it's just that on the screen. But I think sometimes we can be like, sometimes I'll create a story and I'm like, well, that's so busy, there's too much going on. And I think we can sometimes overcomplicate content as well. So yeah, it's an interesting thing with the captions. Okie dokie. So actually, Jane, have you got something else as well before I could come on to this one?
Yeah, stuff about the metaverse again. So a couple of weeks ago, or last week maybe, I was talking about how the sort of VR would be able to look around your house and sort of pick out objects and things like that if you're going to sell them. So this was a little bit further into that, really. So the thing that they've got is called Seer, SEER, and basically it's automated object identification, and it's self-supervised, so it learns by literally trawling the internet, looking at images and learning what they are. And basically now it's actually outperforming the leading industry standard in object recognition software. So actually, whatever you might want to use it for, there are so many options out there. But one of the ones that actually was really useful, as we were talking about accessibility, is the fact that it can identify these objects and actually tell people who are visually impaired, you know, what's in the photo more easily or what's on the video more easily. I think photos is the one that's really good at the minute. Video is coming along slowly because obviously with things moving, it's a lot harder to identify an object in that, but they are working on that as well. So, you know, for that reason, I thought, you know, that's actually a really good thing. And it's just got so many uses that you could put it to later when it's ready.
So what would people use it for? Like, what would you use it for?
No, put me on that spot. I was sort of thinking about it in marketing terms, really. I guess, you know, when you're buying something, especially, you might want a chair. You can already do sort of photo, you know, find something like this photo. But I thought that was quite a handy thing. You know, you can put in the photo of this chair and it might, you know, recognize that and perhaps go searching through shops or something like that, bring you back chairs that look like that chair. And like I said, for visually impaired people, just sort of describing what's on the screen and things like that. But yeah, I just thought it sort of opened up another avenue if you're selling these things as well, that you can perhaps reach a wider market. I'm not really sure, really. I feel that there are a lot of options for it. I just can't think of any off the top of my head.
It's really. I mean, I'm reading loads of stuff and listening to loads of stuff around it, and I feel quite overwhelmed with it all. And I think it's because my brain is not tuned to that way. It's like it's the like I said, I'm the opposite of a gamer. So I think I just really struggle with it. Okay, so Paul Green's asked an interesting question. So, and quite relevant. So Paul's asked, like, what are our thoughts on platforms like Jarvis? So Jarvis is basically an AI copy generator. So you could put some topics in there and it will spit out essentially a blog or something like that. And we've literally the last couple of weeks, we've been playing with some of these tools just to see like what's the quality of what they spit out. So yeah, it's quite interesting. Some of them are like really good. Some of them are really random. Come on, Jane, what are your thoughts?
Well, like you said, I think some of them are quite good if you're willing to pay for them. But I think they provide a good base for things. I don't think you would want to just use what it outputs and not look at it or check it or change it. But I think in terms of generating ideas and giving you a framework for something, I think they're a really good idea. But I do think they need to be worked on after that, not just stick that in there and let it generate that and send it out on my socials, because you could end up with anything.
Yeah, some of it's quite lacks personality.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you want people to engage, if you want people to read and keep coming back, you need that injection of personality in there, which I think you'll struggle to get through AI, even if you can.
Oh. She's gone. Nicole, are you still there?
Yeah, I am. Christina, you froze.
Oh, you just come
apparently
back.
I feel just, oh, there you go, Jane's.
You've come back there.
Cool. So yeah, I was just asking, are there tone of voice options in the ones that you tested?
One of them did, yeah. So it wasn't available in every section of it, but there was certainly a section where you could, I think it was in an email, so you could auto-generate an email, and it asked you if you wanted to be excited or happy or somber or, you know, that kind of thing. I didn't actually try that out to see what differences it gave, but yeah, it's probably one that I need to look at.
Yeah. One of the things I love is, you know, in Grammarly, when you're writing, it's almost like the other way around. When you're writing in Grammarly, I don't know if you can get this on the free version, whether it's on the premium version. But basically, I'll write something and I get this little emoji that says, like, you know, if do I sound helpful or do I sound angry or do I, you know, and it kind of like, it's telling me what my tone is. So sometimes it's like I've written stuff, popped it into there and gone, right, I need to change this a little bit, tweak my language perhaps, be a bit more forceful maybe. But I find that really, really useful. But it's like, it's the same thing, just the other way around, isn't it?
Yeah. I think all these things are really helpful, but not to be relied on, but they are useful tools to go alongside what you're doing normally.
This is the thing. It's like some of this stuff can make you really lazy. Some of this stuff will encourage you to cut corners, and it's not about that. It's about speeding up the research, not about actually cutting corners. And I think that's stuff like these sort of AI copywriters, and there's some sort of automated social media tools as well that I've seen, which they're fantastic if they're being used to implement a strategy. But if you're just going, well, I'm using that tool, so therefore that box is ticked now, you won't get results. You won't get ROI.
Yeah, definitely.
I completely agree with both of you. I think it will assist with time management. That's the only thing I can sort of add. I feel if you are a very busy individual and you know you've got to write a blog or something, yeah, you can have it there to assist you. But I completely agree with, yeah, Christina, you about the personality, and James about sort of making sure it is all okay to just go out, not just sort of send it out and think, well, it's done now, so it can go. But yeah, I think it can assist, but yeah, just got to be careful it doesn't make you too lazy.
Awesome. Okay. Nicole, did you have anything else news-wise this week, or anything that's popped up just like with the clients you're looking after, that sort of a talking point at all?
The only other article I had was the automated captions that I'd looked into, which obviously we've covered. But in terms of that, I've just in the world of work, I guess I've officially had a new client on this week, which is really exciting. And I'm excited to learn about her business, to be honest, because I think it's at first it was kind of quite overwhelming and saying, like, am I gonna hopefully deliver and understand this business? But she is a really lovely client, and she said I can come to her anytime if I'm you know, lost in terms of what things mean, because in the world of, she works sort of in HR, I guess it's, you know, it can be a complicated what's the word, business. So I'm really excited to get to learn it, to be honest. So yeah, that's exciting.
I think it's always tricky. So when someone outsources to us, obviously for them to hand over the reins, that's quite a challenge in itself, because there's a lot of trust required. But from our side, it's like, even when we feel like we've really got under the skin of the business and we understand them and we know what the topics are and all that sort of stuff, actually doing it the first 2 weeks is terrifying. And it's always terrifying. And I think it's almost like, if it was ever not terrifying, then we're not caring enough. You know, I think that's the thing. It's like trying to, you know, we want this, you know, we want our clients to be really, really happy, and we want them to sort of really feel like we understand them and their businesses. And this particular client, they are in the world of HR, but they deal with a lot of stuff related to transformation and HR systems and that kind of stuff. So, and the types of businesses they work with really are a level above. Let's put it that way. So there's a lot of kind of more technical stuff that we've had to get our heads around, which is do you know, it's like learning anything though, isn't it? It's like, it's an exciting challenge.
100%. I already feel like I've made some, sort of build some bridges in terms of understanding it a bit more. So it's, yeah, but I know, as you said, in 2 weeks, a week or two, I'll be writing them in my sleep because I'll know exactly what all these terms mean. But I can see, I think what's really nice is when a client is really passionate. And I think when you feel that, I just want to do the best job I possibly can for that client. So yeah, I'm excited to get going. It's only sort of been a few days, but yeah, I'll be teaching you all about HR in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
Awesome. So, Jane, have you anything else from you? I think have we covered all of your stuff?
I think
now?
we've covered everything I said. Yeah.
Fab. So the only other things that I've got are things that I don't know how much you two care about them, if I'm honest. So LinkedIn has acquired a company called I don't know how to say it, Oribi, something like that. It's a bit of an ugly name, I thought. It did remind me of the word horrible, horrible. Oh God! Wait for the letters to come. We're being sued because of the things I've said. So basically, it's like a marketing analytics platform. And we all know that LinkedIn Analytics, of all the social media platforms that are out there, LinkedIn Analytics is the worst, right? The data that they've got for you is just so minimal. It's totally frustrating. So I'm hoping that this acquisition in time will allow us to just get a bit more data wise in terms of what works, what doesn't. I know we'd seen some announcements about some changes in terms of that in the last couple of weeks. One of the things we were going to talk about last week was just with your personal profile, getting more information on the post, what works, what doesn't. But yeah, like I said, it's like having that announcement and then seeing this one about the acquisition. I'm quite hopeful that there might be some good things in the pipeline. Obviously, it'll take time, but a lot of the problem with social media marketing is it's so hard to track the things that will make the difference to your business. So you can really sort of say, right, here's where my return on investment is. So yeah, I'm quite excited about that in a geeky Christina kind of way. And then the other thing was to do with Clubhouse. So, I think the only people on Clubhouse now really are coaches, consultants, people that are selling mentorship programs, masterminds, that sort of stuff, which is fine. Everyone has their space. But Clubhouse there's a couple of things I tune into on there regularly that it's almost like, I'm always talking about episodic content. So there's like a thing every Wednesday where they're talking about, the metaverse and NFTs and Web3 and all that sort of stuff. So that's where I commit to at least an hour a week listening to that to try and get my head in the game on that stuff. Because I said it's not. But all of a sudden, it's like this Clubhouse experience has become more interactive. So I think it was last week, they've released, when you're in a Clubhouse room, if you were on stage, obviously you could be part of the conversation. If you're in the audience, you couldn't. And then they created this back channel. So if I was listening to you two talk and I'm in the audience and you said something, Nicole, I could send you a message privately related to what you've said. Okay. And, really love that, Nicole, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What they've introduced now is basically when you're in that room, there is a chat feature there. So whilst you're listening, the conversation's going on, you can dive in and leave comments. So a bit like now, we're live streaming this, we've had a few comments on Facebook. We're using StreamYard, so they're popping up. And as we're talking, although, Paul and Kim, they're not on screen with us, they can't be part of the conversation, they're still able to contribute to it. Now I'm not going to say anything about the value of their contributions at this point. They're both muted. So that was they were laughing then. Just want the world to know that was me being funny. I'll give you more of a warning next time. But yeah, it's like it's interactive because you've got that opportunity to sort of, you know, leave your thoughts in the comments, which it just suddenly brings another edge to Clubhouse. And, you know, whilst we've got all these audio experiences appearing everywhere else, like, you know, obviously LinkedIn audio is here now. I have to admit, I haven't joined any audios on LinkedIn, which I thought, whilst I was sitting there waiting for it, I thought as soon as that happened, I would be diving in. Now, it's kind of happened at a time of year for us that's exceptionally busy. It's like one of our peak times right now. So that's probably part of why I haven't engaged in that so much. But yeah, it's, you know, I just think it's like suddenly, you know, social audio is everywhere now, without a doubt. And Clubhouse just seemed to be taking it to the next level with this ability to engage. So I'm quite excited to see what happens. Is that going to go across the board everywhere else as well? We're going to start seeing those features in, you know, Green Room, in LinkedIn audio, that kind of thing. I hope we do. So yeah, they're my sort of two things that I thought you'd go, yeah, whatever on. Okay, Christina.
Clubhouse, Christina, though, like that's I think that's really interesting because we had a bit of a conversation just before we jumped on the live about Clubhouse, and I used it a lot in lockdown. I was actually telling Jane about this week as well. And as much as I do like audio and radio and all of this, I do get quite nervous about becoming a speaker in the chat or whatever the topic is, because I don't know, I don't want to embarrass myself, I guess. So it'd be really, I think that's a really good feature for the like sort of maybe the shyer people that don't really want to be a speaker but would like to contribute in some way.
Absolutely. But what's interesting is it is nerve-wracking showing up, and whether it is a written post, a photo, a video, doing this, or audio, it's like, it's, you know, it's people get anxious about it. They've got that nervousness, that what if I say the wrong thing? What if I upset? So what if I offend? Yeah. But isn't it interesting how it's far more difficult on audio only than it is on, because like what you're talking about, you're doing it now. And you've had, you know, last week when we said to you, you were like, yeah, I can do that. And this morning you were like, yeah, that's no problem, I can do that. And yet what you've just said is like speaking on Clubhouse, right? Clubhouse should be safer, shouldn't it? Because it's only your voice, no one's seeing you. And yet 100%, I find it, it's almost like I can't see who everyone else is, therefore I can't judge them to know where I'm placed within that audience. It's such a ridiculous thing, but it's totally true. But even like recording my podcast, doing the interviews is brilliant, right? Because the focus is on the person I'm interviewing. When it's those episodes where it's just me, I'm like, what am I going to talk about? Like, I've got to record one this week, and I'm like, I was supposed to have had it with them yesterday, and I still don't know what I'm actually going to talk about. And, you know, I've done a 30-minute session this morning. I've got one tomorrow for an hour that I can just do it. I can just rock up and do it. But it's, yeah, when it's audio, it's almost like I feel restricted because people can't, you know, they can't, the visual bit's not there. If I really want you to understand something, it's probably in my face, and I'm like really conscious right now of how much I'm moving my hands. I might just sit on in a second. Right. But you know, it's like all those bits of communication that come in when you're on video. It's like it's just lost on the audio, and then I start. I think sometimes I talk quite quickly anyway, but on audio, it's like I start panic talking. It is a completely different experience.
I completely agree. And when it's a topic as well, like Clubhouse, because they are literally just very topical. As you said, there's just social media ones or what's the latest content going on. It's like you kind of have to be aware of what's actually going on in the world, sort of be a speaker. And because you get people just sort of adding you. I don't know if you've had that, Christina, where you're just in the room and there'll be about sort of 4 or 5 people in the audience and they would want you to come on, and every time I've gone no, because it's like I don't want to I guess I just, as you said, you can't sort of see like who you're sort of speaking to kind of know if you're knowledgeable enough. That's what I always think, is like, am I knowledgeable enough to be a speaker on this particular topic? So, and that the reason I'm tuning in is to learn, I guess. So I don't know. But then I guess it is just sharing your opinion. So you shouldn't be that scared, really.
What's mad in all that is I've met some really interesting people through that platform, and I don't think I would have met them otherwise. And it's really weird when you then go and meet those people face to face, because they've been faceless for all this time.
Oh, yeah.
It's the most bizarre
I didn't think about that.
experience.
No, me neither.
I was at an event, and I didn't realise this guy was going to be there. And it's someone that I'd had conversations with through Clubhouse. And I'd gone to the event the night before, sat in, hotel, restaurant, whatever, having dinner. And all of a sudden, this person comes across and like leans in. And it's like, Christina? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, and hugs and everything. And it like literally took me a few seconds. And like, as he was talking, I started to recognize his voice. And then I was like, and it all made sense. But it honestly, it's when you meet people that you've been talking to on social media, it feels like less of a gap. When you meet someone that you've only talked to in audio, it's really bizarre.
I suppose it's no different to the people you've only spoken to on the phone, though, in the past. You speak to them on the phone a lot and then you meet them in person.
Okay, so Recruitment Agency Expo, there were clients that you've been emailing, that you've spoken to on the phone, that when you met them, they were like over friendly with you, right? And it was because they've seen you on this.
Yeah, that's true. Whereas I've never seen them at all, even in the photo necessarily.
So like when you exist in this world now, it's like, it's just so bizarre. It's so strange.
Definitely.
It really is.
So on that note, I think that is everything that so the only other thing I was going to talk about was TikTok going up to sort of 10 minutes and all of that sort of thing. But I think that'll just get me ranting about everyone chasing everyone in the video world. And like, let's, instead of focusing on my product, like I'm starting to rant already, aren't I? But like instead, so there's a post on my LinkedIn, go and find it, where I basically, so I should have got it ready, where I basically say like, this person's copying this person, who's copying that person, who's just removed this because of, so someone's copying there's something being copied that's just been removed that someone else is copying, and it's just so convoluted. And I'm just like, instead, can we all just build a product and perfect it? Stop looking at everyone else and go, they're doing that and that's working, I want to do that too, and forgetting what you created in the first place. Like that's what I would love. That's what I would love. Okay, so just before we finish, I probably should have said this at the beginning. Damn. Oh, well, it's here now, and we'll make sure it goes out on social media. We are having to miss next week. So there will be no Green Umbrella live lunch next week. I'm really, really sorry. But the following week is episode 100. Woo, woo. So, that's about as excited as I get. Bloody hell. They'll all be thinking, damn, we should have got that for TikTok. So yeah, episode 100 will be on someone shout the date out, 17th. Thank you, Kim. 17th of March is episode 100. So we're really excited about that. And we were going to do it next week, but I'm in the spa. The guys are busy. And for some reason, they got an issue with me doing live lunch in a bathrobe. Don't know what's wrong with them. No idea. So yeah, we'll be coming to you for episode 100 on the 17th. This is how little I listen to her. She literally told me that 30 seconds ago. On the 17th of March for the episode 100 party. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you to expect. I'm slightly nervous myself. But we will see you then. Thank you for tuning in to the Green Umbrella Live Lunch. We'll see you on the 17th. I can't believe I always forgot again.
Wow.
This is why I need carers. Okay, cool. Right, I'm just going to say goodbye and like get out of town now before I really, really get myself in trouble. See you, everyone. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.